Welcome back, friends, to Divine Feminine Radio, your weekly dose of divine conversations. I'm your host, Rani Kala, here today with the divine Tamara Rose. If you don't know, Tamara has been deconstructing the patriarchy, activating the divine feminine for over 15 years. She's the founder of the Beyond Human Method and also my sister. Today, I thought we would dive into a fascinating conversation. Tamara, there's something I've learned over the past 5 years of working with you, and that is how you relate to your business as an energy and as a force field, if you will, rather than just a something to do or something to take care of. I would love to hear more about how you've worked with your business as an energy and how our listeners can also master the energetics of their business. What do you say?
Sounds great. I hope I can provide some insight.
I mean, given that you've been doing it for 15 years, I sure hope so.
I hope so too. Sometimes it's like, oh, how do we talk about that? Let's put some words to it today. That sounds great.
Let's put some words to it. It sounds like a great target to have. So when we say your business is an energy or an entity, I would love to hear, like, what does that mean? What is your definition of that?
Oh, okay. So let's start unpacking that, I guess, right off the gate. So you would have to start, and people have to check out what they believe, right? But I am of the assertion that everything has consciousness. And so the second that you create a business and you make it an entity and you give it a name, it starts to hold its own consciousness. You have intentions for the business. You have intentions for how you serve people, and that energy gets activated with the business, and then the business in its own right starts to grow its own consciousness. It has its own energy field just by this simple activation or speaking it into existence, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And so we've said before on the podcast, energy is your thoughts, feelings, and actions. So is that the same for a business, or how does that differ with a business energy?
Well, the business has its own consciousness, but it isn't an energy or an entity with a body. So it's not necessarily going to take actions, right? But it starts to have like pulling for something, if you will. And so a lot of times how you start to tune into the energy is you'll see like, well, what is successful in my business? What is not successful? Where am I seeing results right now? Where am I not seeing results? And that starts to be like a ping or a pull inside of the business sphere, right? And so you can start to see where that begins to have its own consciousness, because it will pull you in a direction. It will pull you in other like ways to be successful, or to create more contribution, or to be of service, or to make more money. Those three things are usually all connected too.
Mm-hmm. And when did you first know or see that your business had an energy? Because the Beyond Human Method isn't your first business also. You've had a couple before that. So at what point did you have this belief, start working with it as energy, and like see a difference in your business with that?
I think it was probably 15-ish years ago. And it was actually when I had two businesses. And so when I had two businesses, the first one, Flirt With Me Coaching Services. That one got created because I'm just such a good flirt.
Is that where men pay to flirt with you? Is that what it is?
No. That's so funny. I was dating a guy at the time. This was back in my late 20s, and I was dating early 30s, and I was dating a guy, and I had my business cards made up, and I was so proud of them. They were pink with like white lettering, and it was so pretty. And it said "Flirt With Me" on it. And he's like, "You're not going to go give those out to men, are you?" And I'm like, "It's my business. I'm giving them out to everybody." He's like, And I was like, "I don't think this is going to work out, buddy." So Flirt With Me Coaching Services, I actually train men and women both how to flirt, like really like how to connect with people in public, because I was so good at it. I had one of my best friends at the time. She said, "God, you're so good at flirting. You flirt with a lamppost." I'm like, "I sure shit would." She's like, "You should make a business." And I was like, "Okay." And I did, right? And then I also was really gifted. It was like the same time frame. I was really gifted at coaching people. And so people would just come to me, ask me for coaching, guidance. We worked on life path, your purpose, like how, and like before I even had a business, one of my first client or one of the first people I worked with was like, that was more powerful than the Landmark Forum. And that was the training and development place that she and I had met at. And I was like, wait, what? More powerful than like all the work we've ever done there? I'm like, that was, and I didn't find out until like 6 or 7 months after we had our initial conversation. I was like, you could have told me that sooner. Like, what the fuck? So
And
I was like,
Landmark is like a world recognized personal growth company.
yeah. And she was like, she was like, that was the most profound session I've ever had. Cause we had like sat down and we did, I coached her for about 2 to 3 hours. And she was like, it was more profound than the Landmark Forum. It was more profound. And I was like, the like okay, cool. Like then I knew I was on the right path. So that too can be a source of energy and direction when people are starting out. You're looking for like, what are you passionate about? You're looking for like, how do people receive your contribution? Like where do they like expand with you, right? And it can be any business service, if you will. And so I had Your Life, Your Design LLC. So really supporting people and guiding them on their path and purpose. And then I had Flirt With Me coaching services. And I remember everybody saying, oh, flirt with me. Oh, flirt with me. That's so fun. That's so fun. And I was spending all of my time in like marketing Flirt With Me, right? And I had the two LLCs going at the same time. I had the two businesses. I was tracking revenue in both places. I was tracking clients in both places. And so I was like paying attention. And so it's really easy to see where the energy is because it's like, which one is bringing in clients more easily? And so at that time I was like, oh, it's Your Life, Your Design. How interesting. Like I was like caught up in everybody's like this marketing over here is so cool. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, but actually Your Life, Your Design was bringing me more clients, more business, more revenue. And so that was like the easy like depiction, if you will, of like, oh, this one's pulling for me. This one has more energy. This one is easier, if you will, rather than trying to quote unquote trying to market over here. And then I was like, okay. And I think it was, I probably had it for a couple years, and then I ended up merging um like the dating services and the relationship services. And so then I had Your Love, Your Design and Your Life, Your Design. And so I could have kind of both energies for a while. And then, and then you go, okay, so where's the energy continuing to pull? And that's how you start to notice is just kind of where the results are easily. Right. And I think literally you can do this with any business. You just look at like, who's coming to you from where's the energy, right? Like I think you and I were talking about this with your business like yesterday,
Yeah. And so you can apply it to any business, whether your services or whether your products or like whatever you work with people on. So like, let's say you're a product-based business and there's this one product that maybe your favorite, but not everybody is purchasing or there's not a lot of revenue coming from it, but there's this one product over here that is like your primary, maybe not primary, but like where more revenue is coming in, more people love it, more people have the energy on it. Like that's the one that your business is really pulling for more of.
Yeah. And so it can be like for you, I know you support this company with your company, but you've supported other businesses. And when you sit down and you look and we're like, oh, what a crazy niche. It's all like construction kind of businesses. And you go, oh, okay. So you want to provide services like with LGBTQ and minority business owners. And where you're at right now is like, oh, it's been construction like companies and look at all these results you produce very quickly with them. Do you know what I mean? And so you go, okay, well, that's an interesting pivot, if you will, right?
Yeah, totally. Like the thing that we're wanting for the business isn't always the thing that the energy is pulling for. And as
Right.
soon as we were like talking about it together, it just all clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, that is really at the heart of it. That really
Right.
is at the niche of it." Because I was
Right.
exploring like all these different things about, the target audience I want to work with and the niche market I want to work
Yeah.
with. And I was also exploring like government contracts. Is that something
Yeah.
I get to do?
Yeah.
And when we really boiled it down for like what has been successful for me, it's been like working
Mm-hmm.
with the construction companies and trades and like
Right.
service-based industries. And so for anybody looking for where the energy is in your
Mm-hmm.
business, you
Mm-hmm.
can look at the services or products that you're providing, like what's most
Yeah.
successful, as well as like your target audience
Yes.
and the types of people that you're attracting that tend
Mm-hmm.
to just come really easily and are most successful in your endeavors. Would you say that's
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah, 100%. Like when we sit down and we look at the Beyond Human method and how many hundreds and thousands of people like I've interacted with, worked with, influenced in the last 15 years, like there's a strong pull for women who are, you know, late 40s, early 50s. So they're actually slightly older than me, divorced or single, and they're entrepreneurs, small business owners. Like that's my crew. Those are the people who it's real easy to talk to. It's real easy that like they get me. They've been on a spiritual journey. They like, maybe they do yoga and they're like, what is these chakras you speak of? And I'm like, let's expand chakras, and they're like, and so, and like what we've also noticed for our company is like, this what we do is kind of the varsity level.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we work really well with people who've already done some personal growth work who so I work with we've worked with leaders of landmark education, like leaders in personal growth and development. So we take them even to the next level. And so I think it's like, so anybody who has a business, it's for me, it's easy to see
Mm-hmm.
like where the energy is pulling because I've been obsessed with business for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested in more ease and flow. I'm not interested in like pushing rocks up hills,
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're listening to this, you you might be interested in that too. I don't know.
I mean, let's hope so.
Yeah.
So, have you always been interested in following the energy of the business, or is that something that you learned after establishing your businesses? Like, at what point did you start?
Oh yeah, definitely after establishing
After,
business.
okay.
It was a still that skill set definitely got created later in life for sure.
What was the turning point for you to start looking at it in a different way, and how were you operating in it before?
Let's see, the turning point. I think it was when I think it was like going back to Flirt with Me and going back to Your Life, Your Design, like juggling
Mm-hmm.
too and being like, I'm interested in simplifying this shit. You know what I mean? I think when you get interested in efficiency, right? So when efficiency became one of my priorities, I didn't recognize that I was so obsessed with efficiency until I really like articulated and sat down. And I was like, okay, I want everything to be efficient. Two businesses, two tax returns, to this, to that. And you're like, this isn't, there's no efficiency here. You're like, okay, how do we simplify?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that was a huge place to start really like working with the energy more, if you will. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer the
Well,
question?
okay, so you were looking
Sorry.
at simplifying, and that was
Yeah.
the turning point for you.
Yeah.
Well, what had you start looking at the energy specifically, like rather than just efficiency or
Yeah.
like trying to make things more efficient?
I've done 53 courses worldwide. So I was in training with different people about your business has an energy and like, how do you pull energy through it? And what is the energy of the business? And so I was in conversations with lots of people about that. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
At one time, like, and this probably is still a hindrance for me and for us now that I'm saying it. I'll have an aha moment here on my own. But like, I remember with Your Life, Your Design, I never wanted to be the face of it. I thought that took away from it. But when you're talking about personal growth and development, like the somebody seeing like I've already gone through the thing that they're going through, right? So whether it's a business or it's a divorce or it's relationship healing or it's sexual assault and abuse from the past or it's healing a thyroid and your health and well-being or it's money growth and becoming a millionaire, multimillionaire, or it like you just start filling in the blank, or it's right. When people like I didn't realize like when people see a person go through the thing that they've already gone through, that's actually a benefit. And so I was in my own way for a long while because I didn't want to be the face of the company. I don't think it was like I was scared or whatever. I just thought this should be about the clients, not about me. And so there's some weirdness about that. And I remember like having a conversation with this gal and she was like, I'm tuning into the energy of your business and it wants you to be the face. And I was like, I don't know about that, you know? And then the second I got on stage and did my first 3-day event with, a room full of people, that was like the spark that catapulted everything. And I was like, oh, okay. And I don't think I was probably nervous on the first one, but like you just then there's a surrender time. So what does the business want? Well, it wants to make an impact in the world and the business wants me to be the face of it. And like, what are you going to do? And it's like, well, I'm going to do whatever it says I should do. That's what I'm going to do. And it all turned out.
So other than, listening to what someone else is saying about your business, like I have a sense about this in your business, are there other ways you were able to tune into the energy or like rituals you had or questions you asked or like ways that you found that for yourself?
I mean, I think you have to be really tuned into your intuition if you're going to do this next step. You know what I mean? And my intuition, it's not going to talk to me. It's not going to show me visuals. It's not going to do anything like that. But I just know things. And so I would go down a journaling exercise or a meditation or just sit still. And I was interested in like, what does my business want? What does my business need? What can I provide? Like asking those questions like it's a person and then seeing what shows up. Do you know what I mean? So like, it wants me to be the face. Okay, if I'm the face, what else do I need to become the face? And it's like my spiritual teacher slapped me on the hand one time, because I wasn't elegant at an event and I learned elegance and I was like, oh, okay. And that was part of training me to be the face of the Beyond Human method. And then, what does the business want and how do we want to serve? And a bunch of people want me to coach them and create a certified coaching program. And you're like, well, I wasn't planning on that, but okay. And then it's like the business wants more, and again, everything is like a pull of energy. You have enough people saying, are you going to bring this event to California? Are you going to do this event here? That's like, I look for active feedback. And so I just try to say yes all the time, So yeah. Okay. And so then the workshops expanded. We did, one a quarter on stage all the time, and you get to here's the other thing. I don't want people to think, this is a silly thought. People think these things sometimes. I don't want people to think that like, if you're only doing what your business wants, you don't get to do what you want. That's like a silly thought. Okay. You want to think of your business as a relationship, like you're in partnership with it. And so I'm providing transformation. I'm providing like soul's elevation. I'm providing higher consciousness on the planet. We're like waking people up and showing how to live beyond human limitation. You know what I mean? And then you go, Okay, but what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I want to be in ball gowns at events. I want fancy shoes, and you go, okay, well, that's how we're doing this jam. Like, I'm never going to do this shindig any other way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's some of the events when Cece was really young, I would have Cece there because I was like, well, I want her to see it. Right. And so it just becomes like this, like oneness consciousness exists. You just throw your business in the mix,
Mm.
and you start to dance with that.
Yeah, so it's like the business gets what it wants and what it needs, but it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your own wants and needs, that you have to do 24/7 all the time, whatever the business wants, and ignore what
Yeah.
you want. But it's a dance between how it can all fit together and go together.
Yeah, like I also remember being in the building phase and like I just remember being on my computer and like working like every day of the week. It didn't bother me. I wasn't upset about it. Like when you're obsessed with something and you really love it, you're like, whatever. And I remember my ex-husband being like, can you stop working weekends? And I was like, sure, I could do that. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I never thought about it. It was like it becomes again, it becomes like an obsession. For me, it's like a healthy obsession, to
Mm-hmm.
create something in the world. So like all of a sudden I was like learning how to like not work 24/7. Isn't that funny? It was like so and then I got really good at like working less and working less and working to the point where I'm like pretty much retired now.
Mm-hmm. I think the podcast is the first time you're working today. Is that accurate?
I mean, I've been working on this damn printer all morning. I'm becoming a printer expert.
Mm-hmm.
Like replacing these damn cartridges is not working. I'm gonna figure it out. I did some laundry for the kid.
Mm-hmm.
I made this like really yummy afternoon decaf something coffee drink. It's so yeah, it's like really yummy.
Amazing.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I've had a big day. It's
And I
Friday.
think I think that's something we can get stuck on sometimes is like when we're working building something. You mentioned like 15 years ago when you were
Yeah.
building the business, you were like working weekends, obsessed with
Hmm.
this thing. And
Hmm.
sometimes we have it that that's how it's always going to be. Like
Yeah.
for the next X years, like this is what my life's going to look like with the business rather
No.
than
Yeah.
looking at it with like seasons or cycles or like
Yeah.
I'm going to go all in on this for X amount of years and then like set myself up to be in this like retired space.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like I worked in one of my when I was in corporate America in my past life, wasn't always
Mm-hmm.
an entrepreneur. I worked in real estate. I worked as a purchasing agent for a new home builder. I had my real estate license. I worked for worldwide manufacturing distribution and some of the things I learn inside of those business aspects is that even like brick and mortars or other businesses, every business has its own cyclical season. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have like a buying season. You're going to have a slow season. Um, and if you pay attention, you can set yourself up for the season that the business is in, which is helpful because women have our own cycles. You know what I mean? And I think like part of being an entrepreneur and a business owner and being female is like I mean, first of all, I have CC 1 week and then I don't. And the week that I have her, now I'm like basically I got my teaching hat on all day for 4 straight days. I'm
Homeschool life. Hashtag.
homeschool life. Yeah, exactly. And then but then my cycle, there are some days I'm like, I am not getting out of bed. Like fuck
Mm-hmm.
getting out of bed. I'm laying on a heating pad and I'm going to finish Scandal. It's got 7 seasons. I'm on like season 3. I'm like, how do they have 22 episodes for every fucking season? I'm like, at some point it's gotta chillax a little bit is what I'm hoping. But like so I'm like, I go through this cycle. Sometimes I can, sometimes I'm balls to the wall starting at like 5 a.m. just because I was up and I'll work until like 7 p.m. just because I have a bunch of energy. And so that's my cycle. But
Mm-hmm.
every business has a cycle. So I think what's really fascinating is you want to be able to tune into the energy and the like cycle of your business. Do you know what I mean? Versus
Mm-hmm.
what people are saying. Like Black Friday sales aren't for everybody. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, taking the last 2 months off the year isn't for everybody. Um, but it might be for most people. So it's kind of like, you know, if you're like hitting Black Friday sales, but like your business, everybody takes off the last 2 months of the year, like you're going to be working and spinning with no results.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's also so the energy of the business is going to have a cycle. And when you tune into the cycle, then you can create with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And for somebody who is just starting their business or not really sure what their cycle looks like yet in their business, like what is the best way to tell when you're working with the cycle versus working against the cycle?
Well, look, if you're just starting your business, you're in a discovery phase, you know, like, so, and you may find yourself the way that, you know, another analogy for this is like you may be putting like 10 watts of energy in to receive one export out, right? Like you may,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're like doing sales calls or something for your business, let's say, you may make 100 sales calls to get one yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in that part of the business, what you're ultimately looking at is you're looking at, is my message landing? Are people hearing me? Am I attracting the right buyer? Um, am I missing the boat on something? Am I speaking a different language than what they need to hear? Like you're kind of analyzing what is my, like what am I providing and who am I
Mm-hmm.
providing it to? And am I able to communicate that effectively such that somebody says yes, right? And so I always say, like, you know, if you were selling solar on roofs, it's really simple. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut your electricity costs. You could have your own private generator. So if anything goes out, that might be important to you. You can get financing. You're going to cut emissions for the planet. Like, do you want this? You know what I mean? And your target demographic is probably like every homeowner out there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, oh, okay. But you're going to have a different cycle in season because if you're in a place that snows, guess when you're not going to be installing solar?
Mm-hmm.
In the snow on the rooftops. Like you're not. Um, but you can get really creative in how you could cultivate sales during that time. Do you know what I mean? So like my point is like when you're just starting out, I think what's really important to look at is like where do you have the passion? What makes you excited? Because that's going to give you more energy. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to increase your vibrational frequency. And so if you find what you're really passionate about, if you find what you're really like great at and you love doing, that's like step one. And then you're like, who can listen to me and hear me and receive my message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we found is like, you know, mostly women receive my message, you know, because I'm like, fuck the patriarchy, like divine feminine, yes, you know, and like most of them are like, yeah, what? You know, so and that's fine. That's just like part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. So when you're just starting out, you're in this discovery, kind of figuring out
Mm-hmm.
what's successful, what's not successful. And you may
Yeah.
not be in these cycles yet, but you may be figuring out what your cycles are. Like when you're in a seasonal business, like a trade or like selling solar, or like whatever, when there's weather involved, we'll say,
Yeah.
like there may be obvious cycles, but when you're
Right.
in a service-based business or an online or product-based, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's not obvious cycles.
Yeah.
And that's when you can tune into when the energy is flowing somewhere, when it stops flowing somewhere. Okay, cool. Maybe it's time to take a step back and reevaluate something. Is
Yeah,
that all accurate?
100%. And so, you know, you're just when you start a business, you just, I think some people are like, oh, I should know all this, or I should have all the answers, or it should be real smooth, or I'm just going to put all this together. It's going to work magically. And I'm like, I mean, maybe 0.001% of people really nail it the first time, but most people are, if you really care about it, you're constantly tweaking to get better. You're constantly looking at, again, what do you prioritize? I prioritize efficiency. So, I'm like, okay, well, let's find what is the sweet spot for the business, right? So for me, when I was starting out, I was like, oh yeah, you could book a call and I'll coach you. I only did a handful of those. I was like, just a one-off coaching session. I was like listening to people's problems like a therapist. And I was like, this is the worst thing I could do. I am not good at this. I don't want to listen to problems. I can't give coaching homework. I may never see this person again. I was like, I'm so over it. And so like, if you get a one-on-one session with me, it's probably because I've been coaching you for years and and you're a graduate of something. And I'm happy to open my calendar for you. But like, other than that, I am not open to that. It is like not my bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
And when I really started like working with retreats and groups, I was like, okay, how do I really make an impact with groups? Oh, I need a system that I can train them inside of my methodology. And that was how the methodology started being born, was because I was looking at systematizing it, right? And simplifying it.
So finding the best way that you want to make an impact, like following the energy of like what people are asking for, which was coaching, but then also what support systems do you need to be effective in that and provide the services that you want to deliver, the success that you want to deliver to people.
And the one thing that also pops in my head is, I know there's a handful of women who start, like, they work in network marketing businesses, like as a kickoff point or sometimes, as something that they love. But I always encourage people to find your niche inside of it, right? So again, a network marketing business, we could say Sheckley, Arbonne, could be doTERRA or something, huh?
Mary Kay.
Yeah, or Mary Kay, for sure. Oh, that's so funny. I remember my mom being like, I got Mary Kay makeup when I was younger. It was post her divorce. I was like, I'd never seen you wear makeup. And then all of a sudden she had like a full face. I was like, ah.
Oh my gosh.
But even in those things, find the product that you're like over the moon about. Do you see what I mean? Like, because people would be like, well, I'm passionate about all of the products. I'm like, nobody can hear it. It's too much. Right? Like similar to what you and I were talking about. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I was like, you don't want to be a convenience store. I think that was maybe it was somebody else. But I'm like, if you go to a convenience store and you have all these options and all these different price points, like every time I walk in a convenience store, I am overwhelmed. I'm like lucky if I get out of there with a bag of chips, and it's like, I remember coming back from Africa, living in a mud hut. And then I walked into like a Whole Foods and I was like, how many yogurts do they have? I just want yogurt. And I remember being like, there's 85 different kinds of yogurts. What in the fuck is going on? Like it's just too much.
You get overwhelmed by all the options.
People just get overwhelmed by the options. And so if you find the thing that you're passionate about and you're offering that thing that you're passionate about, that energy will transfer. And so that's a big energetic, like, ping for other people. If you're a wet noodle about everything, nobody says yes to wet noodles. Okay. That's like not a thing. Trust me, I had a company called Flirt With Me. Nobody says yes to wet noodles.
Continuing a part 2 about wet noodles.
Oh, that's right. I love wet noodles. So it's so good.
Well, looking at the different businesses that you've had and interacting with them. So like your first one, you may not have been as tuned into the energy, but like this current one, the Beyond Human Method, like being super tuned into the energy. How do you sense your relationship with each of your businesses has evolved over the past 15 years? Like being
I think what we should also say is my first entrepreneurial endeavor was real estate at 23, right? Because I bought my first property at 23 and I owned 4 by the time I was 29. The market crashed in 2008. I bought one that was positive, and then I let all the rest go. My credit took a hit, right? Short sales, foreclosures, whatever. And then the next time I bought a property was with my ex-husband in Denver. That property tripled, and then the one I'm in now has over tripled. So, and I mean, and for people who don't understand, it tripled in value. So whatever the value was when I bought it, it is now 3 times that. That's what I mean. Okay. So like that's where I started following the energy. I started paying attention to things. I started like really noticing what was there, right? So that all happened around the same time. But I'm sorry, let's go back. So what was your question? Good Lord. But I'm like sitting here thinking, I was like, that was actually my first business was real estate.
No, that's a great point, because that is where it started for you and the assets that you've gathered. Like that's how you love to create money and work with money, is like inside of real estate. So that's a great point for like how that started.
Yeah.
But question being,
I'm obsessed with real estate, you guys. I was obsessed when I had 4. I like let them go. And then I was obsessed in flipping, and I'm still obsessed with fixing up and beautifying and aesthetics and growth. And, I'm obsessed with all that. And I'm obsessed with playing the game. It's an interesting game when you get into money and real estate and financing and stuff. So like that game is like, y'all don't know all the ins and outs of that. It's fucking incredible, So anywho, yeah, that was the first one. Go back.
So overall, with your different businesses that you've had over the last 15, 20 years, how has your relationship changed in them, like before you were working with the energy and then being more attuned to the energy, like in the Beyond Human method, your most current business?
It starts to become a dance. And so there's, I think there is like, oh, my business has to do this. I have to do this. And at some point, I think, and I take this in all aspects of my life, honestly, everything becomes a dance where you're like, it all gets done. It's all in perfect timing. Money comes when it wants to come, when it needs to come, when it's time to come. I trust it. I trust the business. So all of that is like the energetics where there's a dance versus have tos. And I think that's the best way to say it. There's also like, there become cycles. So you're like, I may be working on restructuring business things for one cycle. I may be working on some new materials and trainings in another cycle. I may be working on sales in another cycle. I may be working on like, oh, let's do an event and like focused on that in another cycle. And so it's really like for me, in some ways, it could be juggling those cycles, but also just like being aware of like what's calling for my attention at that time.
And one thing I heard you say recently as well is, if you're in a season or a cycle right now, what is the one thing for you to master, especially when you're an entrepreneur or you're like a solo team and there's nobody else there? Like there's no one else to really give the hat off to or to delegate to. And so you're kind of acting as CEO and CFO and CMO, like in charge of all these different branches and buckets. But during one cycle, you may only need to master one thing. So if you're starting out, maybe you need to master your sales and like your services. Maybe if you're building your business, maybe that's when you focus on the financials. Maybe when there's certain seasons and cycles in which you focus on different things, not necessarily like all at once. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And I think that also becomes like intuitive and like training your attunement. Because if you're starting off as a coach, like I was 15 years ago, I mean, anybody would ask me for coaching, I just say yes. I would coach everybody. I was coaching for free multiple programs at Landmark Education, volunteering coaching. So I had years of coaching under my belt before I even was like, I'm going to go be a coach. And for me, I was like mastering my craft, right? I was like, I want to be so good at hearing and this is how I was training my coaching staff, right? Was like, I want to be able to hear the thing behind the thing. I want to like 98% of people's issues is not what they say. Like, actually, it's probably 100%. Let's just fuck it. Let's go the other two. Okay. It's just not what they say. Because if it was, that shit wouldn't be an issue no more. And so you have to be able to listen behind the behind. And so you like, can you get 3 or 4 layers behind there? And I remember like just obsessed with my craft, obsessed with coaching. And so the first time I did like a 6-month training with Landmark Education, and they were like, okay, now you can lead, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't want to lead. I want to coach. I just want to coach. That's all I want to do. And then somebody else would be leading a course and they're like, we need coaches. We never had a coach on this kind of thing. And I was like, I'll do the coaching. And there's another one. And they'd be like, I can only give 3 months. I'm going to do this one and not this. You know, it was like any set. So that was the season I was in, was get obsessed. Right. And so now I can confidently say that I have over 20,000 hours of facilitating other people over the last 15, 18 years because I've been so obsessed with it. Right. And then after that, I looked at my own development when I was pulled to go on stage, when the energy pulled and the business was like, hey, girl, you going on stage in 2 months? I was like, no, girl. Business was like, yeah, girl. And I was like, fuck you. And then I surrendered, right? Which was also a wild experience. But I was also, at that time, I had been obsessed with onstage events. Like, I knew that's a place I was going. I didn't know I was going to get there so fast. But when you're obsessed, I would be at an event, a training, could be anything, like Millionaire Mind, I think was one of them. A Landmark seminar I'd been in like 8 times already. An Access Consciousness seminar where somebody was on stage. Options, I don't fucking know. Options trading shit. I would watch people on stage. I would watch them on one corner, go to another corner. I would be like, oh, they're offering this thing at this point. Oh, they have like a nonprofit. Oh, this is fascinating. How are the people, like, how do they tend to the people in the room? I was already obsessed with it. I was already mapping things out of my brain. And then so when intuition was like, you gonna go do this thing? I was like, no, I don't think I'm gonna go do that. And they're like, So I think it's like, those were the times I was obsessed. I wasn't obsessed with business structures. I had like an LLC. It's under my name. Fuck it, whatever. I wasn't obsessed about taxes or, tax advantages. I'm like, I'm just like, fuck it. I'm like, I got my head down. This one I'm focused on. Right. And then at some point, some things start to change. So it was like the next thing I got interested in. Like, now I have groups. How do I systematize what I do? What is the system I move everybody through? What is my proprietary information that I coach that nobody else does? How do I move people through all of the information and trainings to have them live beyond their limitation? How do I do that? How do I leverage that? Because if I'm working with one person, it's like not going to take a long time to make a lot of transformation, And so it's like each point, and then, then a bunch of people asked me to coach them, and I'm like become coaches. And I was like, okay, that's it. And then you do that for like 2 years. You're like, I'm not doing that no more. Like a certified coaching program, developed the whole thing, 35 coaches trained in the Beyond Human. You're like, great. No more. you know?
Followed that energy, went down the road, and now
Yeah.
we're done with that.
Yeah, for sure. And, and then the company was at a height in growth and we had 6 employees and training 35 coaches and all these people in the thing. And like, that was a lot of energy that I was inputting. Um, and then the energy got taken over with some other things. And then it went, and then you like rebuild, and the rebuild is actually okay, because the rebuild, I have so much information of what doesn't work
Mm-hmm.
when I go to rebuild the next one. And so, and simplify, and, do I need 6 employees? Do I need 35 coaches? Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
How can I streamline? I think I got that under my belt. Like, what happens if I die? Ronnie. So, like, all those things, when you become the face, you go, okay, well, if I get hit by a car tomorrow, what happens to all the clients and the trainings and the things? Now I've got different structures in place. Things that I don't need to think about it. Like when you're just building and kind of, I would say building, but like testing for viability. Do you see what I mean? And like,
Mm-hmm.
because you can have a good idea, but like to have it stick, that's the whole nother jam.
Yeah. Well, for somebody who is at that starting point and that viability point, maybe, and especially for business owners who have so many ideas and have so many things they want to try and implement, and their brain is pulling them all these different directions, like how would you guide them or support them to like pick one path, pick like one thing or one focus to start with?
I I think you got to look at what do you enjoy providing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I enjoy facilitating people. I enjoy facilitating people on anything, really. And what I didn't enjoy was training coaches. Like, that's what I found out for myself. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that until I kind of went down the path, because I thought it was like everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go, what do I enjoy? Because you're going to have more energy on it, more passion on it. And so I always use these examples. These are like very standard examples. Warren Buffett loves making money. I don't think that dude likes spending money, but that dude likes strategically making money. Like, he's got the same I picture him as New Balance shoes, because he's got his like milkshake and burger and fries at the same cafe he always goes to, and like doesn't leave his family anything, because he's like, it's all going to nonprofit. It's just a fucking game. So he
Yeah.
likes the chess of money. That's what he likes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's obsessed with. So he's not going to go out and go do like, I don't know, make money and like do what Elon Musk does, because that's not his bread and butter for like money. His is about chess and markets and predicting and like things like that. Oprah Winfrey started off as like a news anchor, but like obsessed with like the interview, obsessed with talking to people, obsessed with that. So she has a different flavor than Barbara Walters. She has a different flavor than, Jimmy Kimmel's like a comedian. You know what I mean? But like, she has a flavor and she can go all in on that, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
the passion always follows the money. Like, I think Tiger Woods is also a great example. Like, at the top of Tiger Woods' game, he was hiring a coach when he was the best.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't looking for something that was wrong. He was like, let's take it to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
so when people are really obsessed with like their thing or passionate about that thing, right? So if you're in construction, you can be obsessed with like tile work. You can be like the grout lines and the color and the design and like how it's going to lay out, like blah, blah, blah. Like, that could be an obsession. You could equally be obsessed with like Finnish carpentry. Like, my Finnish carpenter was amazing. She she was amazeballs. And like, the Finnish carpentry was precise, but also her cleanup and her like care for things. And so you always notice like you want to go back and work with those. So like, if you have an idea, just like figure out what you love about the idea. Figure out what you're passionate about, that idea, about that service, or about that widget. Do you know what I mean? The people who make it on social media is because they get obsessed with something. If you love Arbonne, find one product that like you are over the moon about and like go all in on the one product. Make it like your thing, right? So find the like passion, the obsession is first. Then you want to see like, who do I talk to? Like, who responds to me? I'm clear it's like rarely a white man. Because I'm like, white privilege, do you know what you got? And, most of them can't hear that. So
Yeah.
I'm aware that it's not that. So you want to find, who can I talk to, right? So who is my target audience, my target demographic, who can hear what I have to say? And those are just real basic to get you in the energy, because you won't be able to tune into the energy until you get going.
Yeah.
So think of like, I'm going to put 10 in and I'm going to get 1 out. So just think of that. Like, and I don't want to say that's always how it's going to go and I'm creating your reality. Like, I don't necessarily want to say that, but that's predictable, and then you're looking for like a viable product, a viable service. Like that's ultimately what you're looking for.
Cool. So, for somebody that has multiple passions, like it's looking at what are
Yeah.
you obsessed with? Why are you obsessed with that thing?
Yeah.
And then finding the viability of that thing, like testing it out with, let's say, a target audience or a target person and seeing if that would be like a viable option for growing the business.
Yeah.
And can you sustain that pathway or that idea when you're putting 10 in and getting 1 back, like constant, like putting the energy in for it to succeed? Like, can you sustain that? Is that what you would say?
Yeah. And you can also think about it like this, like you want to, there's a realignment period when you start a business. You're realigning the universe and the molecules to be like, I have this service. This is what I stand for. This is who I am. This is what I'm here to provide. And the universe, like you have to do it enough that the universe is like, Tam's got the service, and then like, so people can start coming, but you have to hold the frequency and the energy and the intention and like you have to do it over and over and over again. So the universe knows and can hear you. Right. So it's a little bit like if your business is an ice cream truck and you're like, okay, well, I got the truck and I got the ice cream. I'm like, yeah, but you gotta circle around the neighborhoods nonstop. So like the kids know what time you're coming. They can depend on you. They're like, okay, you're not creepy. Mom trusts you. Like you got to get through all these like layers of things. Right.
Yeah.
And then the next time it's like ding, 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 ding. And like, even before you go ding, 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 all the kids are outside being like, I know the ice cream truck's coming. I think it's like a wildly good analogy that just
It is a good analogy. And every time I see something about marketing come across my TikTok page, it's about how you're not marketing enough because people don't know you exist. And so yesterday I saw this video of this gal. She was like, the whole thing about numbers, like people need to see you 7 times before purchasing, people need to see you 12 times before purchasing, like whatever that is. It's actually 48 times that you need to be like posting before somebody actually like decides to work with you or purchase your product, because like it's 12 times that people need to see you and know you exist. But every time you post, people aren't going to see every time that you post. People may see 1 in 4 or 1 in 3 times that you post. So if you post 48 times, then people may see it 12 times.
And some people are always looking for your post.
True.
And then you're like, I see you looking for my post. And then like, I haven't seen you post in days. And you're like, yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Whatever. Taking a break. I'm on vacay again.
And then you get to find your audience, the people that are looking for you, the people who are like, I want more. And like, what is that about? So goes to show that you have, when you're like building your business, when you're figuring out what you're obsessed with, when you're figuring out what your services are, like it is about that discovery period. And it's also about finding your viability and being able to put 10 in, get 1 back.
Yep.
And allowing people to know that you exist, allowing the universe to know that you exist.
Yeah. I mean, how many people starting off a business have been advised, like, reach out to your network of people? Reach out to your network of people and be like, hey, I have this widget, or I'm starting this thing. You know, I don't want to spam you. I want you to know that I'm here if you need me. And if you don't need me, how about, do you know anybody? Like, you just like start right there. Like, that's a fantastic, you know, starting point. And, you know, if you're doing the coaching thing, you know, get some hours under your belt.
Well, one last question that I want to ask before we close out the episode today. So, you mentioned a lot about having a dance between you and your business, like your needs and the business's needs, and having it all come together, be taken care of, rather than it be like an either or, sacrificing something.
Yeah.
How did you master that, and how are you able to like maintain your energy, maintain the business's energy, have your eye on all of it, rather than like that masculine sacrifice hustle energy that a lot of people have been so ingrained in?
Well, I have this methodology. It's called the Beyond Human Method.
Do tell.
Clear your energy, align in what you want, trust your intuition, surrender to the process. I mean, I think it's really all those pieces, but bringing it to business, you have to debunk that, like, the reason hustle culture exists is because of patriarchy. And we feel like we feel like our value is attached and our worth is attached to how much we do and how much we get done. And when you start to actually look at, what did I do that produced the result? See, I'm obsessed with efficiency too. So what did I do that produced the result? So when we look at our business, like, I would say 75 to 80% of our business revenue and our clients are referrals, know someone else, or know us personally, or like something of that nature. We know that. I know that. Okay. So if I say what produces results, the $80,000 that I've spent on Facebook marketing ads over the lifetime of my business have never produced the results. And there's not one company who can come in and be like, duh, duh, duh. And I'm like, isn't that fascinating? Isn't it, like, that's a fascinating thing to look at? And so then I surrender. Okay. Word of mouth, referral, people we know, like, they got to know us, they got to know me, they got to like me, like, whatever. But like, an ad, never going to get it. An ad funnel, never going to get it. If you're watching this and you want to send me information about an ad funnel, please don't. Okay. So you just go, that's an interesting thing. So, you know, I look at what is the action that I took and the result that I produced. How is it like connected? Is there causation or correlation, or like I kind of look at it pretty scientifically. And that's how I know, like, okay, well, I don't have to do 80% of my spinning wheels. I could just take the 20% of the actions that I know are going to produce me results. So now I can fuck all on a Friday. I can get my massage on a Monday, you know, and then magically my phone will ring and we'll take on a new client. And it all seems to work out, right?
So what really supported you in getting there seems to be, like, number one, clearing the energy of like the hustle and the grind and like having to push something.
Yeah. I mean, literally from top down, from my mother, from my lineage, from my like patriarchal hustle culture, from my proving my worth and value, from my supporting my ex-husband, my kiddo, myself, my business, my 35 coaches, my 6 employees. I mean, like, you want to talk about hustle culture, I was in it for sure. Right. Giving it up and being like, look, I'm going to work on, like, I'm working for this amount of time. That's it. So you get like business, we get to do magic in this amount of time. I became so efficient. Like, I think you saw it yesterday. We were looking at some of your business stuff. We sat down, It was done like this. It was like 20 minutes or something. I was like, is that what you need? They're like, yep. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. I gotta get cozy in my bed with my heating pad now. So like, are we done? Right? The efficiency goes so strong because I surrender, and I surrender to the knowledge, the wisdom, everything that's channeling through me, like all the time, to be a contribution in literally any topic. So like, then it becomes super magical for me. That's my process right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when we look at, as a whole, tuning into the energy of your business, it's number one, like clearing the way that it has to be your shoulds or your have tos.
Yep.
Being able to tune in intuitively, like where's the energy pulling, where's my energy, my services, my products, like whatever it is about the business, where are people asking for more? How can I provide to people? And what's working and what's not working, being able to follow what's working, as well as being able to find, how do I want to say this? Like you're working with your target audience and being able to find the efficiencies so that you can do 20% of the tasks that you need to take and taking the actions on the things that actually make a difference, lowering your task. I forget how you put it. You're taking 20% of the actions and there's like 80%. Say that one more time.
Well, instead of doing 80% of fuck all that's not producing result, just do the 20% that gets like is the thing that gets the thing done. It's the one action that like produces the result. That's all you want to focus on. And I will say this, I have worked with clients who like they have anxious attachment style for like everything in their life, including their business. And they've been doing. And I'm like, oh my God, just stop. Just fucking take a break for like a month to 3 months. And within 30 days, that person brought in more than all the 4 months before. Because they had like the push, they were actually pushing clients away.
And like, because they were so stuck in the doing and the hustle and they weren't giving it breath.
You know, or there's like another past client and I was like, well, what are you passionate about? And she's like, my dog. And I was like, all right, well, let's clear out so we clear out all the caca, we make new agreements, and then the new agreement is like, the more I hang out with my dog, the more money I make. And she was on like the President Circle cruise, best in the #1 in the nation or some shit for sales. She's like, but I did less. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
You spend time with your dog. It was so wild. I was like, so that's the dance. Because when you're also when you're anxious and needy and thinking like, I gotta like the business is like, fuck, oh no, this is like weird. It's like dating. You're like, I don't.
So ultimately being able to relate to your business as a person and how would I interact in this relationship? How do I grow this relationship? How do I nurture it? And also nurture myself in the process, like not sacrificing by any means.
100%.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your wisdom and your knowledge today and sharing with us. Listeners, if you have questions, we're happy to expand on this next week. This is like one of our favorite things to talk about is expanding and mastering the energetics of your business. So maybe we'll do a part 2 next week. But if you have questions, email me, Ronnie at thebeyondhumanmethod.com, and we'll see you next week. Keep making magic, y'all.